Hey, I just kind of switched the topic, but you have a teacher, right? You have your own teacher.
Yeah.
Do you think everybody needs that? I mean, it's in said that.
I'm going to come back again, and I'm just going to reiterate over and over again that I can only talk from my direct experience.
Okay.
Nothing that I say really should be taken as anything other than what's been true from here, from this place. Um, I have done an interview recently with Rupert Spira called Love. It's a 2 DVD set.
Mm-hmm.
Part of that has to do with a section called The Role of the Teacher. And in that, I'm pretty. Most people who know me know that I'm pretty loud about my support for Francis Lucille, who is both my teacher and my friend. Um, for this guy, there has never been a teacher who more clearly and more deeply covered everything that I needed to know, and continues to do so. I keep saying to myself, I'm going to show up one day and I'm just going to be bored with what he's saying, and there just seems to be an infinite number of ways that he can approach um, this thing that I'm constantly hearing new things that delight me. So I don't see that changing anytime. Rupert Spira's teacher is the same teacher, Francis Lucille. And yeah, from this point of view, from here, I think there's a very, very important role of a teacher in two regards. I heard you talking to Scott Killaby about this. It is my direct experience that there is um, transmission. I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to explain this in a way that's going to make your viewers or anybody happy about what I'm going to say because it runs contrary to ideas of Maya, of illusion, of us never experiencing anything but perception. It runs contrary to our sense of independent sense of exploration, and even the whole idea of separation comes up. But it is my experience that certain areas are sacred places, and that something goes on beyond the words. That the teaching actually is not in the words. The teaching is in the space between the words, and that the consciousness absolutely recognizes itself and delights in itself, and that when you're in the company of truth lovers, that sense is palpable, um, and that it teaches and that it changes and informs you. I think I would be completely remiss and full of crap if I didn't say that the single most important thing for me has to have been in the presence of my teacher and in that community on a consistent basis. Um, I also think that for this character, maybe not for someone else, but for this character, there are enough sneaky little ins and outs going on up here, okay, that I probably don't see as well as others do. For instance, you as my friend Jordan might see things, character defects about me more clearly than I would see them myself. It's just the nature of ignorance. And so having as a whole different idea on the role of a teacher, having an independent party, a selfless independent party who has your best interest at heart, who knows the good, the bad, and the ugly, um, to help guide you and to be your eyes when you're blinded um, as to your own ignorance, I think is invaluable. I think it's absolutely invaluable. Um,
So it's the teacher and the community.
well, the beyond this is not how I used to feel. Um, but beyond the basic needs for food, clothing, shelter, and perhaps health, the most valuable thing that we have is the company of like minded people. This is what I've come to realize.
Oh.
And that as I have been on this journey uh, investigating the nature of reality or what am I or truth or however you want to put this thing, that my interests have sort of collapsed. I've become sort of a one-trick pony. Um, I'm so totally immersed and so totally infatuated with this. Um, and you find that your interest in society and worldly things begins to diminish. You also find that you don't find happiness in objects, And you start taking immense delight in hanging out with other people who have this same sweet, innocent, sincere, and honest desire to understand the nature of themselves. It's the most magnificent thing in the world. There's no such thing as a bad question. There is only an insincere question or ego parading as a question that might have a distinctly bad odor to it. But in actuality, the most innocent question in the world, the most naive question in the world, when it comes from that place of sincerity, is the most magnificent thing you'll ever see. And that question demands an answer, and the same space that birthed that question will birth that answer. And being in the presence of those people is the most magnificent gift in the world. And Stillness Speaks has been nothing but a financial disaster. But the great secret of Stillness Speaks is that I have made the most unbelievable friends all around the world. Many, many, many quiet people write to me all the time. These are not your well-known teachers or in the invited spotlight. These are, I call them Yannis in the mist. These are people who have no interest in teaching, who are very gentle, quiet people, who they're out there. And the great gift for me is that my life is just surrounded with these magnificent people. And I have to be very careful because they generally are more intelligent, more creative, and certainly more humble than I am. So I routinely find myself in conversations with them, talking as an authority, only to discover 15 minutes in the conversation I'm talking to a Nobel Prize laureate in this subject matter, and I'm completely embarrassed, right? So it's been a really terrific thing to be in the presence of these gentle people. They're all over the place. And when you do what you do in Plano, when we were in Dallas, just running the Eckhart Tolle groups, the audio groups, and the meditation groups, and that kind of stuff, it was such a wonderful invitation to get in touch with people who have a similar interest and to be able to build a life. I mean, people are like, what, you were living in Texas? But I'm going to tell you, there's so many beautiful people in Texas too. There just needs to be a beacon of light there for people to come together. And I've allowed my life to get rebuilt around those people.